Laws of form. The 12 principles of inner gravity. There is a moment of mutation in the biology of consciousness when you cease to be a reaction to the environment and become a cause. This is the true architecture of power. Not a loud dominance, but an internal stability dense enough that the world can no longer deform you by its touch. Power becomes the consequence of structure. You are not defined by what you control, but by what can no longer destabilize you. We step into the analysis of inner gravity, where force is measured by the capacity to maintain a coherent form amidst entropy. The first principle, the calm center, is the 0 point of authority. Every living system is traversed by fluctuations, pressure, loss of coherence, interference. Without this fixed point, you are merely dust in the wind. The calm center is an immunity to capture. It is the place from which you perceive everything without being absorbed. Here emerges primary authority, the refusal to be molded by the fear of another. From this center, inner gravity is born. In the physics of human relationships, density dictates hierarchy, not intention. There are people who beg for attention and people around whom attention organizes itself naturally. The difference is structural: dispersion versus concentration. Gravity appears when your values are no longer slogans but integrated processes. You do not attract through effort, but through coherence. Real power is not exercised. It is emitted as a field of force that sets the world into predictable orbits. This emission is sculpted by the geometry of silence. In the architecture of mind, silence is a structure of resistance. Those who do not understand it fill the space compulsively with noise, betraying an internal fracture. In the strategic space, the pause does not break the flow, but organizes it. Silence is the sculpting of form through omission, giving truth the weight to appear on its own, without useless words. In relation to the exterior, the architect of power uses fertile distance. Too much proximity dissolves the form. Too much distance breaks it. Fertile distance is that calculated proximity where your presence becomes a landmark, not noise. It is the space where you are perceived integrally, yet remain inaccessible to immediate consumption. It is the hygiene of dignity, a method of keeping the mystery of your density intact. Form is tested through the resistance of materials. Every structure has a breaking point. The difference between fragility and power is how tension is integrated. A stable person sees pressure as a force that strengthens the structure, not as a threat. Tension becomes a load test, an opportunity to check where the rust of inconsistency has settled. Moral clarity intervenes as the backbone of the incorruptible form. When your criteria are diffuse, you become raw material for others. Clarity means the absence of fracture between thought, word, and deed. A coherent interior needs no fortifications. It is protected by its own lack of contradiction. The world's inconsistency finds no fissure to cling to. Stability breathes through rhythm. Nothing living sustains permanent intensity without fracturing. Power is cyclical. Expansion for action and withdrawal for integration. Without this rhythm, the structure is exhausted. Force gathers in silence to be discharged in action. To avoid becoming a prison, the structure possesses porosity. Absolute rigidity invites rupture. Porosity is selective permeability. You let the world touch you without losing yourself in it. Everything is coordinated by the long view. Most decisions are distorted by urgency. The long view changes the scale. The architect does not look at the brick. They feel the weight of the cathedral. This perspective offers immunity to the crises of the ego. What seems like a defeat is merely an adjustment of the foundation. We reach integral presence, the state where your coherence becomes non-coercive influence. You no longer need to convince, because you are a living argument. The absence of internal energy loss transforms you into an entity that is. Your presence undermines any opposition that lacks the same structural density. The end is lucid renunciation. A living form knows how to cleanse itself. Growth means eliminating useless masks. Eliminating excess is the condition for the form to remain agile. Without it, power becomes dead weight. Thus appears the living form. Coherence in motion. Power no longer opposes life, but traverses it by integrating change. You do not control life, you contain it. The architecture of power is not about magnitude, but about density. Not about being above others, but about being unreachable by your own weaknesses. In a world of noise, the only sovereignty is the capacity to remain whole. Be the architect of your own gravity. Only he who possesses his form masters reality. Power is not a throne, but the axis upon which you lean when the universe tries to bend you.